Hello and welcome to episode 8, 9 of the Goblin Ringleader podcast. I'm your host, Jack, and today we'll be going over a match that I played at the NRG versus Mae on Merfolk. Dual deck Elves versus Merfolk. Mae's a legend at the store, just traditionally crushes. Merfolk's in a great spot right now. Lots of flash speed interaction and 12 total lords, so it just runs your opponent over. Looks like we're going to a mulligan. I get to keep my hand. Um, yeah, I think I have the combo with lands and spells. No, it's a pretty fair hand. But if I draw a Snoop, then I'm in a good spot. So I keep hoping to draw into a Snoop. If not, I have the Matron for it. Um, it's always really cool to play at the NRG store. Shout out to Dom Stryker and Dakota who were doing commentary for this. They did an amazing job, um, commentating and officiating. The Energy Store is like the hub for all the people who want to quote unquote get good. So May starts it off with a Tide Shaper. This really puts the dampening on what no pun intended. It puts a dampen on what I'm trying to do because I'm trying to cast a Snoop. I don't have it right now, but I'm trying to get a Snoop down eventually, and I need double red for that. So it's very important that I get the right sources. And so I fetch, get a basic mountain because I only need one right now. Cast the cast the Goblin Matron. Now this is gonna tutor for a munitions expert because I can kill the Tide Shaper. This ignoble, there's two ignobles in this list that I'm currently testing, and this ignoble did so much work this game. If I didn't have it, I would have been stuck on one mana source for most of the game. So I tutor. May untaps and decides on a second Tide Shaper, just choking my mana in the best in like the worst possible sense. I top deck a Blood Crypt, thankfully, so I can shock it in and play a spell. Now I'm in a conundrum because I need both my mana sources to cast this Munitions Expert. And if I don't use both my mana, if I use both my mana sources, I can't cast any other spells. So it's whether or not it's worth it to cast the Munitions Expert right now, shoot a Tide Shaper, and get a mana back, or if I should play some other spell. So I decide on the Munitions Expert just to try to take a creature off the board and to get one of my mana sources back. And so that one's good. I'm going to attack for Exalted 2. I gotta push some damage eventually. May missed a land drop the last turn, which was horrible, but this is what I need in this matchup. And misses a land drop again this turn. Very unfortunate, but I have a Lord, and so now I'm able to take the aggressive because I know that there's no Tide Shaper or Tide Binder or um, interaction up. So I have two Lords. I do the math. I think that I can attack with one. I want to leave the other 3/3 back to block. But then I remember this Tide Shaper gave me an island. So if there's it's like 6 cards in hand for May, if she just goes one Lord, she can attack for 6, put me to 6, and if I can't kill her exactly. So she asks, how much power do you have on board? I say 9. And she goes, Lord, attack for 6. I go from 12 to 6. I untap, draw, and I know I have a Sling Gang. So Sling Gang makes this very close. So it's one, each Lord is 2, 2, and the ignoble's 2. So 2, 4, 6 plus another 6 is 12, and then she can block 3 of it. So she'll go to 9, but then I can drain gain for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and yeah, that's Xaxes. So close, so close. The Sling Gang gives you so much reach in this matchup. It's actually insane. And so now we go to sideboards. I don't really have anything specific against Merfolk. She, of course, Let's listen to what Dom and Dakota have
The
to say.
Great Glass Spinner, Stern Scolding, probably a banger. Just all these creatures can be hit by that Hercules recall, maybe not now. Dismember if you feel like you need it. These Force of Negations, Hibernation, not here, not now, and Grafdigger's Cage. Very importantly, we might bring in this cage because spells cannot be cast on the top of library, which is how the Snoop generates its value. So when you're comboing with Snoop, you're copying the ability of the top card, but Snoop is also a future sight for goblins. So you might just want one just in case, so you don't lose out to all that value.
Could come up, yeah, for sure. Hibernation, of course, blue spell that bounces all green creatures.
All green creatures, yeah. So that's the domain match killer, right?
Yeah.
If they have the leyline out, it bounces literally everything, but it kind of just bounces the pile of 5/5s that deck has.
Harbinger of the Tides, that the flash freeze creature of the origin cycle, so it's hating on green red creatures, I believe.
I think isn't the Harbinger of the Tides the one that bounces a tapped creature?
Oh, just any tap creature. Okay.
Yeah, and then it can gain flash for 2 if you're really willing to pay that much.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine a lot of these goblins will be tapped. You could probably tag an ignoble if you tried hard enough.
Oh, for sure. That seems very solid.
And what about the beautiful list of the goblins? Here we go. We are looking at almost Rakdos, just these 2 ignoble hierarchies pushing us into this Jund list. Sideboard cards like Ashiok Dreamrender, stock of that card going up and up as the amulet stock goes up. Pick your poisons, like you said, part of that green splash. We have the Warren Warding, a card for those who love goblins with all their heart.
I believe it's like dragon fodder, but it also has tribal goblins, so you can something like that.
All these things sound right. We've got the Chalice of the Voids, Leyline of Sanctity, and Leyline of the Void. So really starting to adhere to the idea of this is what my main 60 does, and then all my sideboard cards are heavily targeted.
8 line.
Right? It's like, this is someone who doesn't want to lose this game anymore.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Someone who's had trouble maybe playing against the Goryo's matchup, where all 8 of those Leylines are good against the Scam matchup, and then having a lot of catch-alls like Pick Your Poisons and Chalice of the Void. The thing is I don't know if Jack wanted any of those.
Both players with what it looks like Dragon.
So, definitely good commentary by Dom and Dakota for the sideboards. My hate cards are very, very dedicated. My game plan is kill people, and if I can't kill you, I have to hate your game plan out so that I can then kill you. And so, yeah, my sideboard for this matchup is pretty much just the Warren Weirding. It's dragon fodder, but it can also be an edict if you target your opponent. That's the important text. You can hit one giant thing. Mae starts it off with a basic. We both go land pass for turn 1. Turn 2, Tide Shaper takes out my first land. Now it actually time walks me because I can't cast my Conspicuous Snoop on curve. And so now I have to go land pass and just hope that she doesn't have another Tide Shaper. She doesn't, so I'm able to fetch. Now this is important. I almost get a mountain here because I think, I just need to save on life. But then I remember if she has another Tide Shaper, she can turn off all my munitions experts if she tags the cavern. So I have to shock. Go to 14, grab a Blood Crypt, because then I have 2 black sources, so when I untap, if I hit any untapped land, I can cast my munitions experts if I were to draw them. So I have to. It's a little consideration, but I think that point is very. It's a thought that I have, and I have to explain why it took me some time to get there. So I can cast my Snoop now. And there's an anti-solve on top, so I guess it really didn't matter. But if the line were to line up not in my favor, I would want to have both lands be able to tap for both colors. So untaps with a Lord, a Tide Shaper, a Violon 1, and a Mutavault. Doing some math. Just 5. I take it, go to 9. Because I can combo here. I have a thing. Blind Flip Harbinger on top's really good because this allows me to leave a card in my hand. So I have to show a card. I'm going to show the Munitions Expert so that my Hanty's Hovel enters untapped. And now I can do some thinking. I could try to play the long game. Or I could try to combo right now. And I think it's better. I go through a couple lines. And I lose to exactly Trickster or Tidebinder. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to cast the Harbinger off the top. A Munitions Expert's really rough. Harbinger trigger. Mae is unfamiliar with what the combo does, so we get through the line. We make she says, it's okay. How many tokens would you like to make? And then at the end, she thinks that about about trickstering the token or the harbinger to make it lose all abilities. But then I have all these snoops with the activated abilities, and then a judge actually says in the chat that when you make a copy of something, it copies the object's base properties, which would be before it loses all of its abilities with like a trickster or a tidebinder. And so I show infinite tokens, like the last one enters untapped, and then it's a casual REL, so we're talking, and she says, "Oh well, I think I misplayed," because she realizes that, and she's like, "Well, I have a I have a Merfolk trickster. I don't have a tidebinder, so I can tap something down and make it lose its abilities." And I say, "Well, do you want to do that in response to the first one?" And I'm like, I'm like, you can, but you would probably want to do it with the harbinger on the stack, so that I don't have the opportunity to respond. Because otherwise, I would get priority, and so I say we can go back if that's your line. That's totally fine. We can go back. So it'll be, and then I'm like, okay, so you wanted to do it with it on the stack, so then the ETB would trigger afterwards. So then I would be able to change the top card of my library, and so we're going back, and so we're going to flip the Kikijiki back over, because we have to show that the trigger has not happened. We're before the harbinger has resolved. So we're saying, okay, it doesn't really work until we go this far back. Okay, with that on the stack, I'm gonna tap down this. So this is just not here now. Okay, this on the stack, tap down, loses all abilities until end of turn, resolves, trigger. And then she's like, okay. Now I'm like, okay, we didn't get to go infinite, and we're probably gonna die to a lord next turn. So we need to put a sling gang on top. And then just so much going on. Both of these decks have so many different lines that we have to be aware of. So I put a sling gang on top to be able to drain gain, try to like somehow like survive another turn. I'm at 9, and I pass. So Tide Shaper is 3 with the Lord. So is the Trickster. Trickster is 3, and then the Lord is 2 itself. Activate the Mutavault. Mutavaults are all 3. So there's 9. The Lord is the only one that doesn't have Island Walk. And so I have to block. The only one I can block is the Lord. So I'm at 9. I can block here, sack it to drain gain to the Sling Gang. Sack it to drain gain, take 9. So I'm at so go to 10, and then I take 9. Uden. And now we untap, and we have the possibility casting another Harbinger. Violin and another Trickster do the same thing. And that gets there. We have to try to go for the combo line here, I feel. Like we have to. It's boom. Real hard. I show the fetch land to show. I can't even fetch for my munitions expert to to cast it. So a very close game 2 on to game 3. Yeah, it was a super fun match to play against Mae. Awesome player. Master of the Merfolk. The Water Goblins. Goblins are just land fish. It's so good. So one of those things where it's just you have to just have fun with it, you know, whether the matchup is swingy one way or swingy the other. You have to just have fun with it. Mae goes, oh, I think I shuffled my cards upside down. God damn it. Yeah, it was a very fun match. Go back to the energy.
That deck, or if they approach it as a combo deck, and like you can tell from the players who are like, oh, I have this Strangler guys, but I'm gonna attack with it for 3-4 times, as opposed to like just try to combo you, versus the players who are just like only have eyes for the combo. Same thing with this Goblins deck. We've watched it aggressively beat down. We watched a combo beat down. When we've seen the Merfolk deck be like a put one threat and play tempo you deck, and we've seen it be like the most aggressive you've ever seen a blue deck be.
What you're describing is reminiscent, or at least reminds me of, knowing when, as a blue-white control player, to just turn to play a Snapcaster Mage.
Right? He's like, I have to put something into play.
This is the matchup where this is going to deal 10 damage, and
yep.
Yeah.
The way that works nowadays is people casting Subtlety and Solitudes for no value.
Sure.
I just have to put somebody out here to start beating down with.
Turn the corner, end the game.
As our players are taking off, you double remind me, I was watching someone play the Grixis Wizards deck.
So I lead it off with a tap Stomping Ground. Mae goes Island Aether Vial. I go Snoop on 2. Mae goes, it would be really mean if you just comboed me on 3. Plays I believe those are Cavern of Souls. I go, yeah, about that. I cast the thing, and then she's like, well, I have a Trickster. I'm like, to be expected. Trigger resolves. Top card is gonna be Ammunitions Expert. We're gonna change it. We're gonna change it to be a Kiki Jiki. Even though we have one in hand, we can still set up so if there's no other removal, we can still draw it. Push the interaction as fast as possible. Try to go infinite as often as possible, and sometimes your opponent won't have anything, and you'll just be able to just go infinite. Okay, so land. So now I'm thinking Tidebinder. So just poke and pass. Untap, upkeep. In my upkeep, tap. Try to make a token copy. It's a good one. So has the interaction points. That's fine. So nothing happens. Go to draw step. Anti-Tobble. I'm gonna show the Snoop and cast that Snoop. Top card. A Lord. The best flip. Play the Lord. Now all our dudes are 3/3s. And Skirk. Skirk is phenomenal here because it allows us to sack the Snoop that has lost its abilities to make a red. Then we exile top card with the Horde Master trigger. To flip the top card as a matron. Cast the Skirk. Now we have a 2/2, 2/3 X's, and a 1/1. Poke. $17 because there's a Lord. End step. Put a Silver Gill into play. Draw a card. Untap, upkeep. I'm still really scored. We're still really scared of like double Lord here. Pushes a lot of damage. Another Silver Gill. Showing the Lord. So there's one Lord that I know about. So I'm doing the math in my head. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 on board if Mae Vials in the Lord. So can I afford, because if the 2 mana is representing another Flash Lord, I don't think I can afford to take 13 and go to 4. Because then if there's a Tide Shaper or even a Subtlety that flashes in, I can't race that clock effectively. So I'm debating whether or not I should block with my Skirk Prospector. But my Skirk Prospector allows me to cast this Kiki-Jiki that's in my hand next turn. And so I feel like prioritizing that's probably the way that I win. And so I'm like, okay, can I take 10? Like, am I able to take it, go down? Am I okay with going to 7, just straight up? And I say, well, I'm thinking about this block exclusively. I decide that mana is more important than my life right here, and I decide not to block. So I declare no blocks. Activate 10. Go to 7. Untap upkeep. Draw. Top card. Top deck munitions expert's really good here. Allows me to hit the Lord. So we're naturally, like, brain just autopilot. Okay, Goblin kill. So we flip. Targets have to be chosen on cast a spell, so before the top card would be flipped. So I have to kill the Lord. Or kill their Lord. Top card is a Lord. Now I have to figure out, do I want to cast a spell in my hand, which is just another Lord, or do I cast this Lord on top of my library? And do I want to leave up a black source by sacking a Goblin instead? I decide I'm just going to need as much of a board as possible, so I just play a Lord. All of my 1/1s are 3/3s. All of my 2/2s are 4/4s. And Mae goes, how are your guys bigger than mine now? I go, I'm just on blocking duty. I'm going to pass. I say I'm playing around something. I don't know what, but I'm playing around it. Play another Silver Gill Adept from Mae. Basic Island. Really flooding hard from Mae. So Snoop is a 4/4. That is a 4/3. These are all 3/3s. And those are both 2/2s. And whenever anything of mine dies, I draw 2 cards. Or impulse draw the 2 cards. Another munitions expert flip is pretty sick. The sequence of land munitions expert on top of the library happens twice in a row here, and it destroys this game. A card that I used to be playing 1 of, and everyone was telling me I should be playing 4. This is why you listen to your community, guys, because people are awesome and they know what they're talking about. Shout out to Dom, shout out to Kai, shout out to Alex, shout out to everyone who's telling me to play 4 munitions experts. It single-handedly won me this game versus Mae. So, again, I'm on blocking duty. I say it again. Oh, there's another Lord. Yeah, I played the one from my hand. So now we're really in trouble. And so draw the land, flip munitions expert. I'm just like on shooting everything that's not a Silver Gill. Cast a Matron. Matron's going to tutor for a card. That card will be the 4th munitions expert. I knew exactly what I needed to grab here. This is
unbelievable work for them here in this game.
Very good in the creature matchup. That's the 4th expert, by the way.
Yeah, and Mae's board state being obliterated. And remember, Jack with Kiki in hand to make even more experts.
Just picking apart the scaly army.
Sound off in chat. Do Merfolk have scales?
Yeah.
Alright, sweet.
Or they have like more dolphinish flesh.
Oh, yeah, I always find them like scaly fish, right?
Yeah.
Dolphins is for the Disney versions. Big Kiki's here. Mae's known about it the whole time.
Stern scolding.
Mae doesn't know about the second one, but Mae knows this first one. Just reveals Dismember and says, I can't beat all of these experts. And
yeah, so Mae has 1 Dismember here and drew 7 lands. She goes, I have all these redraws and I drew 8 lands. That's with 2 Aether Vials. That's definitely not where you want to be. So really good games. Shout out to Mae. Shout out to the NRGSeries. Shout out to the NRGStore for what they do, and shout out to Dom and Dakota for commentating the games and for letting me use the recording to make a video. And shout out to you guys for watching. This has been Goblin Ringleader Podcast, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day.